Patlabor came together in the 1980s courtesy of Headgear, a team of 5 creatives who came together as a self-employment scheme to retain all copyright on the work they produced. The team consisted of character designers Akemi Takada and Masami Yuki, the latter of which is the creator of Birdie the Mighty, Yutaka Izubuchi, a character designer who served on creating the mechs in this series, Kazunori Ito, who served as head writer and went on to write for works such as Dot Hack, and serving as director, Mamoru Oshii, known for his work on Urusei Yatsura, and working with Ito on the 1995 movie adaptation of Ghost in the Shell. Originally consisting of a manga and a short original video animation series, this expanded to include movies, an animated TV series, a live-action TV series, light novels and video games. In terms of tone and genre, this is a bit of a tough one to pin down entirely. Tonally, you can see it from the opening itself, starting with a dramatic narration about the nature of the setting, followed by a poppy song about how much the main character loves her mech as she does a daily training regime. For genre, the obvious picks would be police drama and mech, but there's a bit of a mix of other stuff to consider. We get some slice of life, a bit of comedy, espionage, sci-fi, even a bit of horror thrown in. Certainly keeps you engaged as to what the premise of any given episode will be at any rate. In the far-flung future of the late 1990s, an earthquake plus rising sea levels have left a lot of Tokyo submerged. In response, a land reclamation scheme known as the Babylon Project came about. Because this was a large-scale project, giant construction mechs known as labors were developed. Seeing as something like that can easily be weaponised, the Japanese police also established a team of labour pilots in the Special Vehicle 2 Squad, operating mechs known as the Patrol Labors, or Patlabor for short. Aiming to keep the peace, this elite squad are dedicated to their work. We're focusing on the second unit who, well, their best pilot largely applied because she's a fan of mech anime. Not that she isn't good at what she does, mind you, it's just an example of what kind of misfits to expect in this squad. With that said, let's take a look. First up is Noa Izumi, the aforementioned anime fan. Cheerful, dutiful and skilled as a pilot, with a strong attachment to mechs and the name Alphonse, obviously leading to her naming her mech as such. Teaming up with her is Asuma Shinohara, who's largely in the squad at his father's insistence. While not really liking being there, he's still a hard worker and demonstrates a lot of potential to become a top officer with his analytical ability. Our other main pilot is Isao Ota. While dedicated to his work, he's also very hot-headed and this can get the better of him at times, even serving as the premise for an episode. Backing Ota up is Mikiyasu Shinshi, the oldest member of the recruits. He's largely defined by his dedication to his wife, as he often talks about her and reminds the rest of the team that he's a married man. Also backing the team up is Hiromi Yamazaki. Imposing but very much the gentle giant, he's quiet but it's largely due to shyness more than anything else. A slightly later addition to the team is Kanaka Clancy, who was transferred from New York in the second episode and stayed on with the second unit after that. Leading the second unit is Captain Kiichi Goto. Initially seeming rather laid back, he's got a keener eye than he lets on, and is always there to ensure his team stays on the right track and gets results. Also working alongside Goto is the first unit's captain, Shinobu Nagumo. Very much a by-the-book officer, she works well with Goto nonetheless. Finally, aiding second units are the maintenance crew led by Seitaro Sakaki, the most senior member but still very much active as well as a perfectionist. He's helped by Shigeo Shiba, or Shige for short, who very much loves his work and gets a bit too into it sometimes. While I don't know if I could do this with everything I review, it can be fun to play 6 Degrees of Separation to Lupin the Third with a lot of stuff, as it's been some early work for more than a few writers, directors and voice actors. For example, with Patlabor we have Shigeru Chiba, who voices Shigeo Shiba, and also voiced a few one-off characters throughout the Lupin franchise, starting with the Fuma Conspiracy. Toshio Furukawa, Asuma's voice actor, would also voice Lupin himself in the same movie. We also have Mamoru Oshii himself, who was originally in line to direct the Lupin movie that became Legend of the Gold of Babylon, but dropped out during pre-production as his ideas were deemed too complicated. Some of them actually did get reused elsewhere, the first Patlabor movie being one such place. Patlabor has a few different continuities going on. There's the manga and first set of OVAs, both of which released at roughly the same time but are separate from each other. The OVAs then led to the movies and a live-action series set about 20 years later. There's also a TV series which led on to another set of OVAs. Never say never on the rest, but for the moment I'm only planning to cover the first set of OVAs, known nowadays as the early days. Initially 6 episodes in length, a 7th was added about half a year after the 6th episode released. Kenji Kawai serves as composer, with the opening Future Lovers sung by Hiroko Kasahara. On that note, let's begin the early days. A rather quiet beginning as the mechanic team are sitting in wait for the newest patrol labour models known as the Ingrams. Shige is growing impatiently excited for their arrival as this will be the first time they have something high-end to work on. Sakaki, though much calmer, shares his excitement. The squad members then arrive, with Shinobu commenting she hopes they're up to the task as Goto calls them over. Noa arrives slightly later, having ridden to headquarters by herself. Goto assigns the 5 to their roles, with Noa and Asuma as one pilot and backup, Ota and Shinji as the second, and Yamazaki handling power. The big problem is that the labours are stuck in traffic, as a recent labour theft and bombing forced the transport onto a specific route. While they wait, Shige gives a rundown on the hierarchy in the team, placing Sakaki above Shinobu and Goto respectively. He also informs Asuma that they're pretty much in the middle of nowhere as the only place to get food is a couple of miles away. Ota, demonstrating his over-enthusiasm, asks around to get authorization to test live ammo. Goto's not having it though, telling him he needs to fill out the correct paperwork and that he'd only be wasting good ammo anyway. With the first unit out investigating the bombing, Noa and Asuma check out the storehouse. Asuma demonstrates a good knowledge of labour models, which strikes Noa's curiosity as he doesn't really seem into being an officer. She then spots the Shinohara Heavy Industries logo on the remaining model and confirms Asuma is the son of Shinohara, there because his father insisted. As they cut grass while waiting, Noa tells him she's actually happy to be part of this, as she has her plan as a pilot all laid out, to the point of giving her labour the name Alphonse. Night falls and there's still no sign of the Ingrams. A radio message informs everyone that an unidentified labourer is attacking near the Sumida River. Deciding to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, Goto assigns a squad to intercept the Ingram transport and ready their labours, then face off against the rogue. He also contacts Shinobu for backup just in case. The team make it to the transport and activate their labours, though Noa's more concerned about damaging Alphonse by jumping down from the highway than anything else. Goto has a team ready in Ueno Park, telling the squad to guide the rogue in that direction. Ota's more concerned about fighting it head on, or head off as the result turns out to be. Noa fares a little better, but still loses an arm in the process. Even so, she's successful in directing the rogue to the target destination. Getting ready to pursue, Asuma encourages Noa not to be brought down by losing an arm and turns her sadness to rage. The rogue stops in the middle of the park, having run out of fuel. They're also surrounded thanks to Goto's preparation. They're ready an anti-tank missile, but Goto figures they're bluffing despite Shinobu's cautiousness. Noa also catches up, charging at the rogue, yelling out "Rocket Punch" and scaring the hijackers half to death. It actually works and the hijackers are arrested, though the Ingrams are in bad shape. Sakaki reassures Noa that they can be fixed at least. As Goto and Shinobu watch over them, Shinobu admits she wants the Ingrams for her own units, as she feels they'd be more effective there, but Goto simply says she can't have them. Maybe a bit slow-paced, but this episode does a good job of establishing everyone from the squad to the captains to the mechanics. It also gives a good idea that maybe the mech battles won't be the focus here. as we get more talking than much else. Noah and Asuma get some good back and forth, as she's clearly naive, but you can see here she's got the makings to become the best. It's also nice seeing a look at Goto and Shinobu and how they go back and forth, but he clearly knows he can rely on her in a crisis. In terms of art and animation, while we don't see a ton of action, everything looks good and there's some nice lighting going on in more than a few parts. Overall, we start on a good note. Second unit is called into action, with Noah surprised at what she sees. Alphonse has been fitted with a propulsion system thanks to an earlier proposal she submitted. She launches into action, but her dream of flight is short-lived as these are big heavy machines and this is not some kind of mech anime. Plus this whole sequence was just a dream anyway. Noah's been called in on her day off to pick up Kanuka Clancy, an escort for the New York mayor ahead of his upcoming visit to Tokyo. SV2 has also been assigned for security detail, with Kanuka impressing them with her grasp of both English and Japanese. She goes over how a leak from a terror network has led to them learning there may be an attack on the visit, likely at an upcoming luncheon. The purpose of this visit is both goodwill and to observe the Babylon project, to which Shinji gives Asuma the rundown. There's also a group known as Beach House that rose up fearing the Babylon project will affect the tides, suspected to be behind any planned attack. Ota and Shinji are assigned to traffic control, having trouble as the roads are blocked for the sake of giving the mayor a travel route. Meanwhile, Noah and Asuma are guarding an empty road and get to discussing Kanuka, the former figuring she's working with them because she's also a Labour fangirl. As Asuma looks for a bathroom, an old woman points to a trailer and tells him to deal with it. He tells her it's just a mobile police command centre and to stay out of trouble, not noticing she gives him a sinister look as he leaves. The first unit are working security at the mayor's hotel, with the second unit on night shift. The most interesting thing they deal with is Noah doing a food run. They don't sleep too well, but continue duty the next day, guarding a place out of the way of the mayor's location. Asuma complains about the trailer, but gets told by Goto that Tokyo Met doesn't have anything like that. Realising the implications, he calls to Noah and gets ready to charge to its location, telling Goto to ready bomb disposal. Noah's stopped by a bridge that she can't jump or duck under. Thinking quickly, Asuma enlists the help of an overhead blimp. Reaching the trailer, it is indeed armed. Goto also informs them that the bomb squad dismantled a dummy in another location, but they won't make it to Asuma and Noah's location in time. Kanuka's on her way, offering to direct Asuma to dismantle the bomb over radio. First step is for Noah to rip off the covering and Asuma climbing underneath to get to the real gadgetry. Kanuka talks Asuma through successfully, working it down to the ever-classic red wire and blue wire. She admits she doesn't know which to pick and to trust his instincts. Noah's not sure either, leaving Asuma to hesitate and consider switching from his initial choice of red to blue. At the last second, Kanuka cuts the red wire, congratulating Asuma. The old woman, Ine Ito, was the culprit. Ota annoyed at Asuma for not checking the wanted flyers. Asuma complains that he wants to quit, with Goto telling him he's free to do so, but he wants a written resignation. He changes his mind upon learning that Kanuka is joining SV2 for the next year. We get our first mention of the Babylon project, but definitely not our last. There's also a good demonstration of Noah and Asuma's teamwork, with his quick thinking helping her bypass the bridge. Plus, while he was panicked, he does well on defusing the bomb, even if Kanuka is the one to cut the final wire. Speaking of Kanuka, she serves her role of a character for the others to aspire to here as the experienced professional. As one last side note, trigger happy as he may be, it's nice to see Ota taking his position as a police officer seriously, showing there's more to him than just wanting to fire a lot of guns. Next time, second unit deal with an aquatic monster and a murder mystery. Until then,